Back tonight here on In Focus, Newzroom Afrika, Channel 405. The conversation continues. Communications regulator ICASA says the spectrum auction has surpassed the 8 billion rand mark. 6 mobile network operators qualified to participate in the auction, but there are concerns that the policy is sidelining small businesses from participating in the sought-after auction. Black Business Council of South Africa CEO Kganki Matabane joins me now to talk further on this. Good evening, sir, and thank you very much for your time and joining us tonight here on In Focus. The process of releasing of spectrum and going on auction, in many instances, is celebrated and it is seen as part of the long-awaited structural reforms that many have been calling for, to say, well, release the spectrum, we're going to see a lot of investment. And previously here on the show, some of the economists have said, you see, this is exactly what happens. Investment has come in the billions between the two networks that have bid for this spectrum. You're not as excited about this.
Evening, Thabo, and the viewers, and thank you very much for having us. I think it's a good development generally, but I think just like anything in South Africa, you have to get the right context. The spectrum is a once in a lifetime opportunity. This is not, it's never going to come again. So we're not going to see any other spectrum coming. So once you've licensed it to the big four or big five, it's gone forever. The challenge I think that we're facing is that some of these policies are supposed to bring new entrants into the market. And then by new entrants, we are very, very specific. It's supposed to be black-owned, women-owned, youth-owned, businesses owned by people living with disabilities. But those should be playing in the mainstream. So the spectrum is a mainstream. And we should be using this type of developments. And as I said, it's coming once in a lifetime. It's never going to come again. It means black people who constitute 80% of the country will never own the spectrum, or own a piece of the spectrum. Yeah.
So what was the conversation? What was the thinking around the transformation imperative when we are going to auction the spectrum?
There was supposed to be, from a policy point of view, which we welcomed, there was supposed to be what was called wireless open access network, and that's one was going to basically be used almost as a consortium to bring all new players into the market. And the big telcos have already committed that 30% of the one capacity, they will take it. And that was going to assist in terms of the making sure that the one is sustainable. But again, history is a teacher. Having seen what happened before with the telcos, once you give them what they want, they are not going to come back and want to deliver on what they're supposed to deliver. Because now, for example, if you are coming from the rural areas, you'll attest to it. You are likely to be on 2G or even less. Yeah. If you want to download the document in the rural areas, you have to climb on top of a mountain. Yeah. Because the telcos had an obligation when they were given licenses that they will do what is called universal access to make sure that those ones who can afford have access to the services. But they didn't do it, and ICASA did not do its job in enforcing it. So even now, if they are going to come with by the way type of obligations, we know from history that nothing is going to happen. And the World Bank just released a report that confirms again that we're breaking their own records. We were the most unequal society in the world, but we keep on marginalizing and excluding the majority. And then for us, that is not sustainable for us as a country.
Yeah. What has government done? Have they reneged on the wireless open access network? Have they postponed it? Have they pushed it aside? What has happened to that initiative?
We don't know what's happening, because what we wanted the auctioning and the licensing of the world to happen at the same time. Because we know, again from history, that once you give the big companies who own 95% of the market. Once you give them what they want, they may even themselves start blocking the developments in the world. So that commitment of the 30% that they'll buy from the world is not going to happen, because now they have what they wanted. But we should have used the spectrum as a leverage to say, we can't give you this spectrum, but if we give it to you, you must do this, but we must then do that thing at the same time. Once they have it, they're not going to do anything. And the marginalized and the excluded will keep on being excluded. And then this is supposed to be a black majority type of country. But the actions are not indicating that. They're indicating otherwise, that we want to keep the oligopolies, and we don't want to deal with the market structure of the economy, because people are always talking about the market structure. But when we look at the market structure, the two telcos own 90%, the other two or three, they own the difference. So there's no space for small players at all.
The others have argued in this particular space that even with the WAN in place, the smaller players would have a tough time investing in the required infrastructure, and therefore it is commercial sense, they argue, for government to delay this particular aspect and right now focus on getting as much money as possible from the big players. What do you say to that?
But remember, the two big players that are big now, that own 90% of the market, they started small. So for us, I think there's nothing that stops another industry or another company to develop starting small, as long as they've got the support of government, they've got the support of the big telcos, they will be successful. From a funding point of view, people are going to raise funds outside the country, and then that was done. It's been done in other sectors. You've seen, for example, in the renewable energies, building the network is also very expensive, but people find innovative ways of raising funds, so that at least we don't exclude and keep on excluding the majority, because that is a dangerous thing to democracy. We've seen it last year in July. If we keep on doing that, people are going to feel like, but we don't own this economy, so why must we let the economy flourish?
Yeah. What do you think will be the impact of whether it's a delay or whether it's a deliberate sideline of this particular process of the open access network?
Yeah, I think chances are, because it's not done now, you are giving people who already are at an advantage, you are giving them further advantage. So chances are that even if you try to do it later, it's not going to be sustainable. And I'm sure that is what the big telcos wanted to achieve, and then they have achieved it.
Are you going to challenge it? Are you going to be raising this with ICASA?
Yes, we'll raise it with ICASA, we'll raise it with government, and raise our unhappiness, because we've missed an opportunity. For us, we see this as a missed opportunity. We could have handled it much better to ensure that at least we bring those who are disadvantaged into the mainstream economy, but we've lost the opportunity, unfortunately.
That is the CEO of the Black Business Council, Kganki Matabane. I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on, sir. At Newzroom Afrika, Channel 405, In Focus, continue.